So welcome everybody and welcome in the new year. Happy New Year to all of you, by the way. I love it when they answer me, I love it. I love it. Anyway, and welcome at the GCCM London. A new year, new challenges, and new everything actually. Let's see how the market is going. Today we're talking about the global digital wholesale telco industry. Who comes up with these kind of phrases, It's so vague, but you know what? You're lucky because we'll make it really fancy for you. So I hope that we can share our thoughts with you. Of course, I'm not the only one and the least important. The most important people are actually sitting here in the panel, and you. So what I would like to do, actually, we're going to talk, and I don't want you just to listen. Please be so kind to be interactive. If you have any questions, just raise your hands, and we'll give you the answer, hopefully. And I'm confident. Of course, we're going to try. So yeah, AI, IoT, 5G, mouthful. Everybody thinks that we know what IoT and 5G and AI means. But I think we need to listen to each other every day again, because that's AI, right? It reinvents and I know we have here in the audience a couple of people who really know exactly what it means. And I'm happy that we can start the year off like this. The whole day we have I think 5 panel sessions. So I hope you can join a couple of them in your busy meetings, whatever. So again, thank you very much for being here. Again, as said, I'm very happy to have these senior executives next to me to share their thoughts and their knowledge about the industry. So I'll give them a quick word to introduce themselves. And Samane, if I can start with you, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Samane. I'm a sales manager at China Mobile International UK. I'm responsible for telco partnerships in Europe region. Very happy to be here. Thank you very much, and Happy New Year, everybody.
And thank you for being here. And again, thank you as well for sponsoring this session. So thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Enrique?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Enrique Fernandez. I'm responsible for the Western Europe business, mainly voice at BTS, which is one of the most important regions for the company. And well, if you don't know BTS, we've been in the industry for 32 years. So we are a premature company that is still growing nowadays, which is quite an achievement. And well, that's it. I'm running the business in Western Europe, basically.
And congratulations. I mean, by the end of last year, again, you expanded even more in Latin America together with SBTS. So
we are in a very sweet season now for us. We've been growing for the last 5 years, which is weird, and it's exponentially. So we are taking the chance to explore new industries within the industry, new businesses like AI, IoT, etc. Also improving and enlarging our SMS termination. We were granted with exclusivity from BBIX for SoftBank in Japan, as well as we did 3 years ago with Digicel in Asia Pacific. So it's just, we are investing, we are diversifying our portfolio, and that is helping us to boost not only the total business of the company, but also the voice business.
No, congratulations, Deban. Federico.
Yes, Federico, my name. I'm representing T-Wholesale, formerly known as Deutsche Telekom Global Carrier. We have rebranded ourselves beginning of this year. So the new name is T-Wholesale, the international wholesale unit of Deutsche Telekom. I'm doing business development there, so representing different businesses from legacy fixed line stuff to roaming, network APIs, so across the board, different things in our different business units.
Again, apologies that we put the wrong, let's say, company name.
No worries. It gave me the opportunity, to say that we have rebranded and so.
And good to have you again on one of my panels. So thank you so much. Andy, over to you.
Thank you, Ralph. Good to see everybody this morning. My first GCCM. So my name is Andy Everest. I'm a senior partner at Cambridge Management Consulting. So looking, I would say, outside the industry, looking in for the first time. We're about a 5-year-old consultancy at the moment, and we've got a number of verticals, obviously telecoms, media and tech being one. Formerly to that, I was the VP and Head of Service Delivery and Procurement globally for Aurelian, which was formerly Telia Carrier. So lovely to be here today.
Okay, thank you, and good having you. And guys, let's make sure that it's his first GCCM. Let's be nice to him for once. You can do this, right? So, okay, last but not least, David. And David is also a keynote speaker here. So, David, actually introduce yourself, and the floor is completely yours.
Oh, thank you, Eric. Good to see everybody. My name's David Duffett. I'm with a company called Simwood. In fact, the company is called Simwood ESMS Limited. We started life nearly 29 years ago doing gateway between mobile phones and the internet, hence the ESMS. However, these days we're more of a voice carrier. And it's good to be here. Happy New-ish year. I think at the end of January, we're struggling a bit on the new year, but it's good to see everybody. So I'll jump in, shall I, Eric?
Go.
Okay. In that case, let's take this up. And what I'd like to talk to you about for just a few minutes at the beginning of this friendly gathering is navigating the decline of minute revenue. And I'm talking about voice minutes and the way the revenue has been heading downwards for a while, and what we as carriers in the carrier community can do about this. Oh, sorry, I will. Yeah, sorry, and hello at home as well. Okay, yeah, what we can do about navigating this decline. So, well, I don't need to talk about me, but my background was a little bit of Asterisk. If you've ever come across Asterisk in the world of telecoms, a world-changing technology, I was the community director for that project for quite a while. Anyway, as you know, in the crazy world of telecoms, things take a little bit of time to roll out. If you think back to, for instance, caller ID getting across the UK PSTN, that took a matter of years. It was a long time. If you're old enough to remember loop disconnect dialing, you know, when you used to dial it, it went tick, 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 tick. When we moved to tones, that took a long time to bring in. So things tend to take a long time. And even now, looking for things like useful MS Teams integrations is taking a little bit of time. People are sort of evolving those. But most of them happen in the end. The one that hasn't happened yet is the death of fax, which I know we'd all like to see disappear, but as a friendly reminder, he's still here. Fax refuses to die. So taking this and knowing that things move over a long time, I wanted to examine this situation where the revenue from minutes is noticeably heading down for traditional carriers. And there's lots of reasons that that could be happening. Over-the-top services like WhatsApp and things like that are taking away those minutes. And so that presents a bit of a challenge for us because traditionally carriers have made their money by transporting these minutes, and the more minutes there were, the more revenue there was to be had. So what are we going to do? How are we going to actually face that challenge and pick our way through it? Well, we know that the minute revenue is dwindling down. So logically, as we look to our future, we don't really want to be building a future that relies on the revenue from the transiting of minutes themselves. And so what would be sensible to do is to create value around those minutes that we can then sell to people. That would seem like the best thing to do because we don't know exactly when that minute revenue is going to go below the line of profitability and not make sense anymore. So we've got these challenges, but when we look at the value creation opportunities, they are many in the world of voice minutes. We already see things like AI, sentiment analysis, stuff like that, AI-based translation, integration with other systems, other communication systems even like Zoom and things like that. And then we got collaboration opportunities as well. And we can increase the productivity in workflows too. Now, when do we want to actually start doing some of this so that we can sell it to people? Well, I would suggest it's pretty much now. So if we come back to that minute revenue and we're seeing it heading downwards, what we need to do is put a new stake in the ground now or a new y-axis on the graph and come up with some of these value add solutions that we can stem that decline and make the revenue go back up again. And in fact, some of the things that we could do might even attract more minutes back onto our networks. For instance, when you think about WhatsApp, imagine people using that and really there should be some kind of compliance recording in place. That's not happening. And so we might be able to attract minutes back onto our networks for certain value add services. Now, this does come with a little bit of a challenge for most carriers. And the challenge for most carriers is this, that very often carriers have built up value add by doing things like buying boxes to solve different jobs. So for instance, if you think about recording, they might have bought a recording solution in a box that they're paying license fees for, they're paying maintenance, they've got hardware upgrades and things like that. Same for Teams integrations. They might have bought some kind of service or server. And when you do that, it's a little bit like, if I can use a musical analogy, it's a bit like buying a CD player for each different job that you want to do. You buy a CD player for recording, a CD player for some other service. And we get inflexibility there because those systems are not very good at talking to each other. So what I'm suggesting is, although value add is the way to get out of this, it's going to be a difficult call for some carriers that have based it on these individual solutions that are kind of somehow cobbled together. So I want to introduce a new paradigm to you of thinking. Imagine the Spotify of carrier services. So something that's host-based, API-driven, it's there out on the internet as a homogeneous lump that you can come to and use based on its own infrastructure. So in other words, not beholden to lots of different companies for their licensing, for their hardware upgrades, and so on. What about if it was instantly accessible via an API 24/7? So you can pick up the features and the functionality you want when you want them. And what if we made it into a model where you could just pick up the individual thing that you wanted, and in musical terms, in other words, just the song you wanted, rather than having to buy the whole album or subscribe to the whole back catalogue? That would be an interesting situation. If carriers could work with somebody like that, it would actually change things quite dramatically. So imagine a new world where, as a carrier, you can work with a collaboration partner who's open-minded. You, as the carrier, get to keep your minutes, you keep your number ranges, you keep all the things that you've traditionally worked with. But now, by transiting through a value-add network somewhere else with low latency, you can pick up the features and the functionality that you want to on a per call, per requirement basis. What this would allow is the creation of margin by charging a little bit margin on top of those services without a creation of the headaches of maintaining those individual CD players and keeping them up to date and buying the licenses and so on. So the other thing it would do is eradicate carrier envy. What do I mean by carrier envy? Let's imagine you're a service provider and you're with carrier A, and you quite like carrier A, but over there you notice that carrier B has got a really nice Microsoft Teams integration that you like. But now you're faced with the headache of porting those numbers and things if you want to go to that carrier. Well, imagine if you could maintain your relationship with carrier A and just transit through carrier B's network and pick up the features and the functions you wanted without having to port number ranges, without having to do anything else. So in other words, carrier A could actually borrow carrier B's functionality. So that would be great, wouldn't it? All right, so this is the way that we can add value in the new economy, we believe. So as we come in for an early landing, Eric, a minute ahead of time here, let's look at that shift in the revenue models. Money from minutes in and of themselves is kind of heading in this direction, and we need to find a way to add value. And if we do find the right way to add value, then we can see an uptick in revenue, not only from selling the value add, but attracting more minutes back through our networks. So what matters now is the speed of being able to deploy this, because as people climb aboard and start implementing this functionality, somebody's going to be in the lead, and it'd be good if it was you. So what have you got to do? Well, you've got to make the strategic call based on whether you decide to build that value add functionality into your own network, go out and buy more CD players and bang them into your infrastructure and pay all the licenses, or the last one, find a collaboration partner with a sensible business model where you can pick up just the things you need on a per call basis. That, my friends, is the end. And so thank you for the opportunity of going through these things with you.
Any questions for David? Anything which popped up Of course, Nasya. Nasya.
Thank you, David. That was quite interesting. Two things. One, I'm still surprised we're trying to push this now after all this time, but how is it different than CPaaS then? You mentioned about like a community of modules, APIs, coming together to enable what we really need. But isn't that the overarching definition of what CPaaS is supposed to be doing?
Yeah, it's not too different. But I suppose the fundamental difference is in CPaaS, everything is in the one space. And so if a service provider likes this particular CPaaS offering, they can go with that supplier. But when a new part emerges over here, in the old way of doing things, they'd actually have to move their offering wholesale, which might be very, very inconvenient. Whereas in the new collaborative way of doing things, we in Simwood, we call it BYOC, bring your own carrier. It means that everything can stay on that CPaaS and you can just pick the extra thing from another carrier and use it without having to move to them wholesale.
And it's all API based.
100% API based.
Well, I hope we don't have the same conversation next year because this should have happened 5 years ago.
Well, things do happen slowly in telecom.
Extremely, extremely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we're in telco, so we all go very slowly, right? As in, very slowly. Con calma, no? Con calma, as we say. Okay, good. Any other questions for David? Or shall we just move in? All right. Talking about the global digital wholesale telco industry, the rapidly evolving AI, IoT, and 5G era. Samane, if I may start with you. Looking at the current and future market challenges, we see the potential and everything. How could you give us could you describe a little bit about what you see in the wholesale landscape, actually?
Absolutely. So I think when we talk about the digital era, we are really talking about the famous telco to techco evolution, which is basically offering just beyond the traditional connectivity, data, and voice services. So, for example, we see more telcos tapping into services like IoT, AI, cloud computing, and as a matter of fact, we are a fast telco. So we
of course.
China Mobile.
Say yes, guys. Say yes. Yeah, sure.
So, for example, at the moment, we already have 300 patents on AI. We have an IoT company for about 20 years. Which manufactures devices, develops its own IoT platform, and also provides, of course, the connectivity. And then through the, for example, the China Mobile Research Institute, we have developed 5G Advanced, which we introduced last year in MWC, 6G, and we work with GSMA to actually set up standards for these technologies. And then we also work very closely with TM Forum to set up standards for network automation. So a lot of very fast things happening with China Mobile and really a pioneer in becoming a telco.
Okay. Federico, I mean, you're a super fast operator as well, you know?
That's the outside view. From the inside, it looks differently. But yeah, so if I want to, I can try to structure a little bit. So what customers are used to now, they're used to Amazon Web Service kind of experience. So they want to access something, log onto something, book something. It should be available instantly. They want to put a service level agreement on it, no big commitments, no nothing, pay as you go, and that's it, full flexibility. This is what they want on the customer side. Plus, obviously, security, that's a given, and all that. There are a couple of other things that are more enabling factors. For example, on the network side, we have network as a service technologies that put us in a position to actually offer that. This is number one. We have networks that are API, that are becoming API native now. So we have the APIs, so it's becoming IT. Voice is becoming IT now. On the voice side, you said yes, the voice minutes they're going down, but it's only the voice minutes that the telcos handle. Actually, the total amount of minutes it's growing, and the minutes are going. You said it, to the OTTs, to the Zooms of this world, and another option to the one that you pointed out, for example, where it's about adding value to the old world, is to go where the minutes go. So we have to go to the new world. So we have to become API native. We have to become CPaaS players. We missed that CPaaS 15 years ago when the Twilios came up, when the Vonages came and so on. We missed it completely.
Yeah, that was your wake-up call, but
Yeah. And we are still figuring out what to do with CPaaS. And now we have the next discussion. Hey, there are network APIs. What the hell is that? And we don't make money with network APIs. Why? The reason is because you don't know how to sell it. We can sell SIM cards and access, but we cannot sell a service that is IT to a new group of customers, which are developers. And I'm not talking about the developers somewhere in a basement or in a garage in Silicon Valley. I'm talking about big companies, the Siemenses of this world, the whatever. Yeah. So and this is changing, and then there's a middle layer, platforms. The platforms are what links the customer, what the customer wants with what the networks, and I'm saying networks, actually, there's fixed line networks, links what the networks can deliver. And there are new companies out there. Console Connect is one of them, for example. They're really doing cool things. They aggregate different transport networks. They aggregate cloud providers. They add access where they can add access. And from a customer perspective, that's like a little bit like AWS. Yeah, you check your geographies, you book your services here, there. I need, access lines. They can provide it. You put an SLA on it, and it's all under one hood, under one platform. Telcos are nowhere there. We are still trying to figure out in our small footprints what to do. The thing is, we have to work together. We have to create a footprint. Essentially, we have to create an aggregation layer with the different telco footprints. This is happening only selectively. Now, in the case of network APIs, there's this joint venture that has been found. What's the name? Arduna, whatever. It's an attempt. Let's see how far it goes. The better way would be, from my taste, that we don't need this aggregation, but we have the same effect. We have the aggregation effect by federating the APIs amongst the telcos, so that the wholesale API would work in the network of Vodafone.
in actual fact, all the operators should never have allowed to have, for instance, in the SMS world, in the messaging world, to have all those aggregators. I'm sorry to say, but you overslept it completely.
Yes.
Completely. And then you woke up and, oh, there are aggregators. Oh, they're huge.
Yeah.
Oh, they're making a huge amount of money. Where's our part?
Yeah. Exactly that. And now I'm stopping. Last sentence is, so we have to roll back as good as we can and get rid of the intermediaries. The only thing is they're there for a reason. Yeah, so they're doing a good job in what they do, whether we like it or not. So we have to add value to our customers so that we can, aggregate, so that we can, have this instant availability kind of experience, and that we can talk to people who are used to implement software rather than connecting to wires or whatever, or plugging in a RJ45 cable or something.
That's an old one. You even know the Winchester. Remember that one? Oh, yeah, exactly. There you go. That's 30 years ago. Sorry, guys.
So it was a long speech, but I'm getting emotional about this whole.
No. But Enrique, please.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, continuing with your speech, the future of telecom will be driven by three groups of players, which are the regulators on top of the industry, because we have to follow their path, and they are a pain in the ass. We know, mostly in Europe. Then the operators, which are the big companies like you guys running the industry, and the innovators.
You're becoming a big guy as well. Don't
Well,
forget
I
this.
would like to stay in the innovation.
You like to stay humble, but it's
yeah.
not working. Not anymore.
No, but really, the future will be driven by these three groups of companies, and you guys, meaning the big operators, I think you must rely on the innovation companies on the bottom of the industry, like the aggregators, CPaaS aggregators that started working like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You didn't pay attention to it. You overslept, etc. But you're still on time to pay attention to innovators. Our slogan for the future is technology built for growth. We help big companies unlock their potential by bringing in our technology and our expertise. The future of telecom is only for experts. I mean, 10 years ago, we had 200 companies attending this DCM event.
So you're saying I can leave now? I can get the hell out of here.
You're quite an expert on what you do. I still don't know what it is.
You see, that's exactly why. Thanks for the compliment.
Just kidding, But yeah, and coming back to David's speech, when you said when gonna be the time that it's no longer profitable, when I hear that, I start smiling because that's my business. For you, for the big companies, the profit threshold is much higher than it can be for a specialist like us. I mean, we can make much more business with your resources than what you think you could do yourself. So that's why my suggestion is that you keep on, or you start focusing harder on the innovation side of the business, because you guys innovate, but you're bigger, you're slower, you have more compliance within your companies. So, this is the key for your future.
Yeah, but the thing is, and then I want to come to Andy because he has the helicopter view, But so I'll come to that. But the thing is that what Federico is saying. Listen, my customers are demanding, and they're demanding faster, better, and now, not tomorrow, now.
But probably the solution is right there in the market. You just need to look for it. There are plenty of companies innovating every day, much faster than any operator.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm moderating since 20 years, and I keep on hearing this. We will, we should, but want to see it. Andy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, picking up on the innovation point. I mean, when I sort of obviously been looking at this, the AI, IOT, 5G, there's so much opportunity for the big players, the big wholesale networks, to really use some of these things, to really look at the network more. These networks are huge today, they're complex and everything else, but really looking to leverage some of these things and look at what's actually going on in your network. Look at some of the data, being able to analyze the data. You keep on hearing about AI, preventative maintenance, being able to look ahead, working where your network's going to go wrong. There's such a massive opportunity here for innovation, as you said, and just to really take it forward, and for some of the big boys to kind of wake up and use some of this to their advantage.
Yeah, please jump.
Yeah, I just wanted to put something that Enrique said with something that Federico said. The future belongs to the experts, but it's the experts that take complex functionality and make it easily accessible to service providers through an API, I believe.
Yeah.
So you see, we don't have the answers yet, but we do as if, So, but keep listening, because I want to have I want to talk about some new technologies, because they push us, and they have a significant impact on our service portfolios. And I want you to jump in, but Samane, maybe you can say something about it, because this is where the growth is, right?
Yes. So some of the new technologies, for example, and challenges that we've had. So inside mainland China, we've already innovated a lot. We've seen the challenges, for example, with 5G deployment. A lot of projects for low latency use cases, for a lot of IoT use cases where you need decision making on site with extremely low latency to make things that was impossible before now possible with your infrastructure as a telco. For example, for 5G port or smart mining. So now we have a global product line. We are actually bringing all of that outside to the outside world, to the international market. So we offer consultancy services, for example. We help with the strategy planning, resource planning, even support and pricing. And then the other interesting one is 5G messaging. So inside mainland China, we have something called 5G messaging, extremely successful. Already, AI is already integrated in that technology, and it's very similar to RCS. We are now bringing that to the international world as well, and we are actually helping a lot of the OTTs and a lot of the enterprises inside China to basically have that international access. And now we are actually integrating the API with some of our international partners. And we actually have to use strategic partners to make some of these innovations happen. So some of those partners are, of course, the Chinese hyperscalers or OTTs, but also the international key technology players. For example, the biggest chip manufacturer in the world, as you might know of. And then some of the other technologies is, for example, the video ringback tone. In China, it was extremely successful. And I think as of 2023, it's about 5 billion market share. So it's only. So basically, the interesting thing that it can do is that I think internationally, you might call it 5G calling. So you might call a business and they might not answer, or whilst you're waiting on phone, a commercial video will play, and that can already get the interest of a lot of your clients. Or for example, governments or authorities might issue severe weather warnings. So that can also get the interest and attention of your consumers. And then another successful one.
She's so successful.
Very successful.
Unbelievable. I love it.
I think these have been successful. Right. So you've already tackled your challenges in mainland China, and we are saying, hey, we failed here, we were successful here. And then just the last one is the
Come on.
A micro repeater. For example, we've seen very successful use cases where you had blind spots, and we have blind spots in multi-story buildings, in basements, and we use a technology called SIGBEL to address that challenge. So yeah.
Okay, that's good. Federico, I mean, talking about new technologies, but what is the important for the end-to-end ecosystem, business automation, and especially maybe security? You can say something.
Yeah. So obviously, the more can go to the cloud will go to the cloud, and the more goes to the cloud, security becomes really important. So in our case, there are two parts to it. Number one is what you do internally to safeguard the different systems and so on, end-to-end control. What we have decided in the case of CPaaS, for example, we said, hey, we wanna, because we are a European player, well, some even debate that. For now, we are a European player. So we decided to place all of our CPaaS environment within Europe. Why? Because most of the CPaaS players, of the bigger ones, are US-based, number one. Number two, this is a challenge for banks, for insurance companies, and so on in Europe to work with them. They would like to work with them, but it's difficult. So, and we said we don't want to compete with the Twilios of this world, because we cannot in the first place. We don't have, these developers, these resources, and so on. So we have to focus. And the specific security and location strategy to base everything in Europe enables us to have a USP versus the US players. And we see that there are companies that come to us just because we are one of the few that are global, and we have end-to-end control of the whole value chain, and it's based in Europe. So this is one example where we say, hey, there is a USP, and it helps us competing against in this case, the big US guys.
Okay. Andy, you want to from your helicopter view.
My helicopter, one of the things which interested me about security, you're absolutely right. Well, what we're doing on our side as network providers and everything else in the cloud, I think one of the things which is going to be critical when it comes to this area is what security says to the consumers and the public as well. I think really looking closely at how you can convince the public that these huge, vast data sets are there, trying to get transparency there, trying to make sure that you apply to something like a GDPR from a regulatory point of view. Massive challenges there. And I think if we can't crack that nut as well in terms of what we do with the consumer, we're going to have, it's pointless what you do on your own side in the network. I think you've really got to get a good balance between those two things and manage it coincidentally, I think, together.
But again, the customers, they don't give a about it. Just give me the service.
Until something goes wrong.
We'll see about that. That's your problem then, right?
I was just going to make the small point that the way some people are addressing this is actually having the data, not in the data centers, but in their own infrastructure, where it's under their control. And so, for instance, in the telecom world, if we're talking about sentiment analysis or call recording, they might choose to have it in their own S3 storage somewhere rather than, on a network facility.
Okay, thank you. Looking at the time, guys. Closing round, quick one. So we were talking about the global digital wholesale telco industry, and especially a little bit of focus on AI, IoT, 5G, 6G. Well, what's coming? What are the challenges? What are we facing? Success stories from China Mobile International, of course. So a closing round. What's out there? What's there to expect? What is your takeaway for the audience? Samane, you can start.
Thank you.
Of course.
So I think we see a push towards sustainability, and I think more and more telcos are investing in it. For example, we have already invested in green data center. We're using AI to optimize network and to innovate in green RAN. So I think that is going to happen, and there's going to be more push for it. And then I think there is now a push for better connectivity in rural areas or remote areas. And I think with the new Release 17 standard, GSMA Release 17 standard, we are going to see more and more telcos operating with satellite providers. And I think AI is going to be everywhere, the fancy word. And we already use it for customer service or network optimization. We actually do have our own large language model.
It's just the start. It's just the start of it. It's just the start of it.
And it's going to get better. And I think we can use it to offer more personalized experiences.
Okay. Enrique?
Regarding the AI field, in my opinion, we are talking about rocket science when we're still building vapor engines, We don't know what's going to happen. We know that it's going to be there. And, we need to try to get the best out of it. But still, we don't know the way we are going to work with it. From, last week it was introduced the agents by ChatGPT. Few days later, DeepSeek from China screwed them up completely. They thought they had the best product, but they didn't. But right now we are in the third level of 5 levels to reach the AGI, which is this agent, and definitely it's going to be there. But as technology evolves, we need to understand that more competition will be brought to the industry. For instance, SpaceX will soon be delivering mobile connectivity all over the world with their own grades, their own satellites. I mean, we need to think about it. It's not only us. More people will jump in the industry as the technology evolves.
With new business models.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Definitely.
Keep on sleeping. Keep on dreaming. No. Federico, your takeaway.
As I'll have an alternative takeaway. As Enrique was talking about 3 kinds of companies, that reminded me of a little joke. That is, there are 3 kinds of companies: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. So I want to belong to the first one. And in this context, this is my closing statement. We have to be where the minutes are and become more software players than we are today.
Okay. Thank you. Andy?
I think opportunity for me. I mean, there's a vast opportunity for us to use some of these, the whole thing about evolving. I mean, I think I saw a case recently about farming, agriculture and everything else where, you're linking 5G for connectivity and, getting much more latency, getting information in one place quicker. But at the back end, they're linking AI and IoT together very much to really get a view, on how they can help a farmer increase his yield, for example. And you talked about innovation and new business models as well. They're looking, I thought was quite clever, like an outcome subscription model. So, for example, they're saying, we'll put our 5G sensors in your farmland. We'll help you generate a much bigger yield of crop, and then we'll take our profit on the bigger crop we help you grow. So, full of opportunities.
Okay, David?
I think as we look forward and think about increased competition, we should also have an eye on increased collaboration. Maybe it's API driven, maybe it's even AI driven collaboration.
Well, I would say hurry up because, guys, the outside world, first of all, the demand is there. And second of all, other people are, passing you. You could drive a Volvo, but the guys, they come in with a Ferrari, the red one, the V12. Combustion engine, old school. Anyway, I would like to thank you, audience, for being with me here, and with the guys. I would like to thank Samane, of course. Thank you, China Mobile International, for this session.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you
Always
so
a
much.
Pleasure.
More than happy. Enrique, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Federico, Andy, and David, thank you so much.